right. Today, we're tackling a threat that's probably buzzing in your pocket right now. It's something that feels like a small personal problem, but as we're about to see, it's actually ballooning into a real risk for the entire banking system. We're talking about digital fraud. Let's get into it. I mean, come on, you know the one, right? That urgent text, that weird email telling you to click a link immediately to verify your account. It almost feels like background noise in our modern lives. But here's the thing, and this is where it gets a little scary. What if the fallout from those scams goes way, way beyond just one person's bank account? What if, when you add them all up, they could actually start to shake the foundations of financial stability itself? That's exactly what we're going to unpack. Okay, so to really get our heads around this huge problem, we've got to start small, with the actual scams that scammers are using every single day. So first, let's break down the attacks that are landing in your pocket and in your inbox.
So first up, the big one you've definitely heard of, phishing. This is the classic digital con. Scammers blast out emails that look totally legit, like they're from your bank or Netflix or whoever, and the whole goal is to trick you into just handing over your login info or your credit card details.
And, these scammers aren't just sticking to email. When they pull the same trick over a phone call, that's called vishing, for voice phishing. And when it shows up as a text, that's smishing. It's the exact same scam, just coming at you through a different door. Okay, now look at this. This chart breaks down the top fraud types as reported by bank supervisors across the Americas. And what's really fascinating, look at the common thread here. Credential theft, deception scams. What's the primary method? It's not crazy hacking. It's social engineering. Criminals have figured out that it is so much easier to trick a human being than it is to break into a bank's computer system. So we've got the tactics down, but that's just one piece of the puzzle. To really see why this is a system-wide issue, you have to follow the money. You have to see the hidden price tag of all this fraud. And trust me, it is so much bigger than you think. Okay, look at this number, $4.41. What on earth could that mean? Well, that right there is what's known as the fraud multiplier. And what it means is absolutely staggering. For every single dollar that a scammer actually steals from an account, it costs the bank or financial institution $4.41 to clean up the mess. That's for the investigation, the fees, replacing cards, all the operational costs. It's this huge invisible tax on the entire system.
Okay, so let's take that multiplier effect and apply it globally. The problem suddenly looks a whole lot bigger.
That's right, nearly $500 billion gone in just 1 year. At this scale, these aren't just little annoyances. This becomes a serious drag on the health and the growth of the entire global financial system.
So the question is, how does a number that huge actually translate into a real threat to financial stability? Well, let's trace the domino effect, and you'll see how these scams can actually weaken the structure of our banks.
See, in the banking world, this kind of stuff, it has a name. It's called operational risk. It's basically the official term for the risk that things go wrong, whether it's an outside attack, a broken process, or just human error. And you better believe regulators take this risk very, very seriously.
And this slide just lays out the chain reaction perfectly. So first, widespread fraud causes these huge financial losses. Second, regulators see these losses as a serious operational risk, which directly eats away at a bank's capital, the money they have set aside for a rainy day. Third, with less capital, the bank is weaker. It's less able to handle a real economic shock, like a recession. And finally, and this might be the most dangerous part of all, constant fraud destroys public trust. And trust is the invisible glue holding the entire banking system together. Okay, so the threat is massive, it's global. But the good news is there's a serious global counterattack happening right now. Regulators and banks aren't just sitting back, they are fighting back with a pretty comprehensive strategy. And this strategy is built on 4 key pillars that all have to work together. You've got new laws and regulations to keep up. You have regulators taking supervisory action to enforce those rules. Then there's collaborative action, which is huge, getting banks, telecom companies, and law enforcement to actually talk to each other and share info. And finally, financial education, empowering all of us to be the first line of defense. And what's really cool is seeing how different parts of the world are tackling this. In the EU, they've really focused on technology, mandating something called strong customer authentication. It's great against direct hacking. But then you look at Singapore, and they've taken this fascinating ecosystem approach. They've created a framework where if a scam text gets through a mobile carrier's filters, that telecom company can actually be held partially responsible for the loss. It forces everybody in the chain to have skin in the game. And all of this brings us back to the final piece of the puzzle, which you could argue is the most important one of all. Your role in all this. I mean, you don't have to take my word for it. Listen to this quote from the Association of Supervisors of Banks of the Americas. They're not just saying it's a nice idea for people to be aware. They are saying that strengthening the skills of financial users is essential. Top global regulators see an educated public as a critical security layer. And this is really the key takeaway here. Banks have unbelievable technology. We're talking AI that can spot fraud in the blink of an eye, biometrics that know it's not you just by the way you're holding your phone. But here's the catch. The most sophisticated scammers today, they're not trying to hack the computers. They are trying to hack you. They want to bypass all that amazing tech by tricking a person. And that is why a smart, aware, educated user has become the single most important security layer there is. So that leaves us with this final, really important question to think about. In this never-ending fight against digital fraud, what's ultimately the stronger defense? The most advanced artificial intelligence we can build, or a well-educated and maybe just a little bit suspicious human being? It's something to think about, isn't it? Thanks for watching.